All right, guys, welcome back to the Side of Mayo Show, Season 2, Episode 2. Guys, first I got to give a shout out to my dedicated and loving sponsors. First off, we have my guy Ernie at Top Rocker Tattoo, the only guy, like I said last week, that I allow to tattoo me. Like I said, it's like almost like a therapy session. He's one of my best friends, so he knows everything about my life, and he built this custom sleeve perfectly to my arm. If you guys want a consultation, he's going to go in, he's going to measure everything for you guys, and he's going to hand draw out something custom to you. Make sure you hit up Ernie at Top Rocker Tattoo and drop the name Side of Mayo for 10% off your first tattoo. With that, we have Revitalized Med Spa. My guys George and Ronnie do a phenomenal freaking job. Whether you guys need a facial, microblading, anything like that, they even do massages. And like I emphasized last week, they do the mobile IVs. So if you go out on a Saturday night, maybe even a Sunday, doesn't even matter, and you need that just little hangover pick-me-up to get you through the next day, they're going to send someone your way, get you an IV, and you're going to be feeling good as new. Guys, also drop the name Side of Mayo for 10% off your first purchase with them as well.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much.
All right, guys, welcome back into the episode. Today with me, I have a very, very special guest. We actually have kind of been in contact for a little bit, but we finally got to talk the other day, and I learned so much about this woman that it was absolutely amazing. She has a heart of gold, but she also is one of the most dedicated workers that I've met, honestly. She works her ass off. And so without further ado, guys, I'm just going to introduce her, Nadia Rose. How are you doing, Nadia?
Hi, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so excited to finally sit down with you.
I know. We've been talking for a little bit, trying to get you on the show and everything like that. And then I took the pause, and now we're back, and now you're here.
Yeah. How was the break?
The break was much needed. Honestly, way longer than I wanted it to be, which sucked. But I feel like it's a lot better, a lot stronger now. And I'm super excited to get rolling.
You know, that's huge. I always tell everybody those times are absolutely necessary, especially when you're in business. It's rejuvenation for our souls, for our minds. It's like a little break to put all of the chaos inside of our heads to rest and put things into perspective, compartmentalize everything. So I'm glad you got that break. Everybody should.
That's very, very true. But let's give a little background to the people about who you are, kind of where you're from and what you do, because you actually help businesses or grow businesses to where you can go and sell them, right? Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually was born in Montana, a little Montana girl in the city.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, my network is here in Arizona. Okay. My friends are here, and just, you know, Scottsdale just feels like home for me. I've been here since 2010. I was traveling for a couple of years, so I lived right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and I loved it. That's actually where I started my first business. But what I do, think of it like fixing and flipping homes.
Yeah, okay.
I basically create a concept that already exists, and I build that database and clientele, and then I flip that over and sell it to, you know, somebody who wants to buy the business because they are already in that business and they want the database or whatever it may be. And so I watched my mom fix and flip homes, and she was so talented when I was a kid, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And she's the best at what she does, but I'm the worst interior designer there is, and I don't know how that happened, but I just couldn't do it. So, you know, I love connecting with people, and so building a database and building a clientele, those are really fun things for me. So
taking from what your mom grew and what she did and just kind of putting your own little spin on it, I guess.
Yeah, putting my own brain into it, I guess.
Flipping houses and fixing them, I don't know if I could do it. Like, that's patience. So it kind of explained, like, how would you go about doing what you do, and what was your first business that you actually did?
My first business was a children's clothing line, and I got lucky. And
wow.
I don't
Yeah,
take
I
that
was
the
about to
wrong
be
way.
like, yeah, okay.
Don't take that the wrong way, because, you know, there's a huge misconception in, you know, what it takes to run a business, and we'll probably get into that
Oh, yeah.
a little bit later. But so the children's clothing line. So I did get a little bit lucky in that. And what I mean by lucky is that I built that business within 3 years, and I was able to sell it.
Oh, okay.
So children's clothing line that really was motivated by my children. I was in nursing school at the time.
Okay.
And I was in my 3rd year, and my best friend passed away.
Yeah,
And she was like my sister. So
that's so sad. I'm sorry.
yeah, you know, she's in a better place, and she's around.
Yeah,
you know.
still,
she's
though.
definitely watching over, and it's definitely sucks that she's not here. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, you know, that was Auntie Daphne for my kids. So we definitely live in her honor, and part of doing that was it opened my eyes to the fact that life is so short. I don't want to spend one day being mad at somebody, or
Yeah.
you know, being the reason why somebody is upset.
Yeah.
You know, I always want to be the good thing in somebody's day.
Yeah.
And so with that, I realized I needed to do what I was really passionate about, and what I knew was from my mom and growing up, seeing her in business.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to create something that would allow me to spend more time with my kids, which actually turned out to be like spending less time with my kids.
Oh, no way.
Because even though I got lucky and I was able to sell my children's clothing line to the manufacturer who was creating my products, I still had to bust my ass.
Oh, it's
to
never
get into that.
ending.
It isn't. It's always a new thing. And what I learned with that experience is how important it is to have a plan ahead of time. And so I kind of feel like that was like God's little like blessing to like, okay, yeah, you are meant for business, but this is your only chance. And so I went on to create other businesses, and 3 of them were successful. 1 of them was not. And that was like the biggest like learning lesson for me, is that you got to have a plan.
Well, and I feel like you learn so much from failing, probably more than you do from success. At least that's for me. I don't know about you, but to have 3 that were successful and maybe 1 that failed, as you said, how did it fail? Like, explain to me, what do you mean by failed?
No, you're absolutely right. I think that we all learn from our mistakes. And, you know, if you're somebody that thinks that, you know, oh, I made a mistake, you know, this is horrible. No. The second I make a mistake, I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this?
Exactly.
And so actually that business that failed wasn't like, it didn't really crash and burn, or maybe that's just my positive spin on it.
Yeah.
But you know what it was, is it was the first time that I had investors invest in something that I was doing.
Okay.
And I won't say the name of the business because I don't want that person to find out, because we're still friends. But, you know, he was a little older, and he was involved in real estate. And this business that I started was a media business.
Okay.
Working with influencers and fashion brands.
Nice. Okay.
And so my direct client was an influencer.
Gotcha.
Not a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had a 34-year-old girlfriend, and she was from another country, and
I mean,
she needed
naturally, right?
Of course, right?
Naturally.
But, you know, he was such a good mentor for me that I thought this would be a great investor for me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's the best, but his 34-year-old girlfriend needed something to do, and so he kind of stuck her on the job.
Gotcha.
And so it just created like a lot of like unnecessary tasks.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah.
We're all good. Everything's good between us, but it just created too many hands in the pot.
And that, like, when you have that does kind of screw things up. I know a lot of people that if they start a business, it's them and a partner, right? Because you don't want to have 5, then that's 5 people that have to come together to agree on something, and that can be so hard. But when you just have 1, that's almost borderline impossible, and I think you know that better than anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, you know, the number one reason why businesses fail, small startups,
Yeah.
is because they're underfunded.
100%.
And people don't take into account, you know, I have X amount of dollars and I need X amount of things to get this business off the ground.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. And then, you know, you see it all the time.
Oh.
You see too many hands in the pot,
All the
and
time.
it just. So what ended up happening with that business is that she wanted to buy the business, and I said no,
Okay.
but I'll give you this piece of it. And it was just, you know, it was something fun to do, but it really was not a moneymaker.
Gotcha.
It really, really wasn't. And so I thought, okay, well, how can I make this a moneymaker? And so
yeah, that's the point of business, right?
yeah. And so, I mean, you know, we could talk about influencers all day and this and that, and I love working with them. But, you know, really the money in working with influencers really goes to the influencers. So what
Yeah.
I did was I took that business that was surrounded by influencers and I merged it with a digital advertising company so that I could bring on retailers as clients. And so what I did was I took the influencers and the retailers and I connected them together. So I bridged that gap for smaller businesses who really needed the exposure. And then I took that business and then I sold it to a white labeling company in Canada.
Wow. See, and that's what it takes when you're a CEO or when you're trying to start businesses. You have to be able to think outside the box. I mean, you could have taken that L and just been like, listen, I can't really help an influencer. But instead you flipped it and you're like, how are we going to make this a positive? And that's exactly what you did. And now I don't know if it was a thing before you did it or not, but now it's like a staple. Like that is exactly how things work. People will just go to retailers and then they pair with influencers and they become like an ambassador or something like that.
Yeah.
To where they're just going to rock their clothes. Like, hey, cool. People see them, get 20% off. Here's my discount code. And that's the way the world works now.
It is. You know what? It is. And also in any of my businesses, I always try to create a solution.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see something promoted online and then you go to that store to buy that thing and it's just not there. And so I always wanted to create like credibility. Like there's credibility that whatever this influencer is promoting, you 100% can get it.
Exactly.
And it's going to be exactly what you see on their page and so forth. And so, I mean, just coming back to that business failing, it failed, but then I was able to rebuttal and find a way to not only scale it, but to kind of be like,
change the game.
Yeah, just be like, okay, this isn't what I planned for, but it's okay because I turned it into something else.
Yeah, so that's actually the way this podcast started. Was I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to interview people, learn people's stories, everything like that. But it was never supposed to be like small businesses or influencers or things like that. So it kind of turned into that when I realized that small businesses needed help, that people needed help. In a time like today, and especially with last year, like you need help from other people. And I learned that firsthand because I started networking a lot. But I also did a couple giveaways with small businesses to help drive people in there, and they loved it. They were so excited because they were hurting at that time. So they know if they give away a $25 gift card or something like that, the family's most likely going to come back and spend their own money or take someone out.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to help small businesses. And speaking about 2020 and just, you know, supporting small businesses, I loved everything that I saw in the community. I was actually in California for most of 2020. But, you know, I saw all of my friends just really coming together here in Scottsdale to, you know, like they would post like, hey, we're all meeting at this business at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And it would just bring in crowds of people. And then the next day it would be like, okay, we're meeting at this spot at 7 p.m. And it would just be like a small business. And then that business would create gift cards or, you know, promos.
Giveaways.
Or, and so it was just like this, like infinity ring of just help and support and community. And that's really what I love about Scottsdale is that you know, at the end of the day, we are a community. This is the best city to start a business in.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, everybody knows that.
100%.
And it's because we're a community that sticks together and supports one another. And I love that about Scottsdale.
And I think I heard a statistic the other day. It's like 295 people or something move here a day.
Was that me that told you that?
You told me that, and then my girlfriend also told me. She told me 300. I remember that for a fact. But I think it was you, actually. I think it was. But it was like, okay, like think about how many of those people are going to be starting businesses. Because there's so much space, so many people coming in. There's spring training. It's beautiful year round. This is a thriving business place, like you said. So, yeah, I love helping people out. That's what this podcast has turned into. And I'm so excited to be able to do that for people because sometimes it takes a platform. Sometimes it takes a cool little entry video. Sometimes it takes knowing someone's background. I didn't know you were from Montana until we talked, which is crazy because I'm from Illinois and Iowa, and then I have my man Will over here. Shouts out Will, who's also from Illinois, except he was a Bear fan. I don't know what you're doing, but so there's transports out here. Like there's people that transplants, not transports, that come out here, and it's awesome to connect with them because it's always trying to get to one goal, and it's just to be successful. And I love that about that.
Or even providing a solution, like a lot, you know. Sometimes, and first off, I want to say I don't know where these 300 people are going to sleep because there's no housing inventory here. It's all gone.
There's not even apartment inventory at this point.
It's gone. It's wiped out.
Yeah.
So Californians, if you are listening, just please do your due diligence before you make the move. Because
stop in Buckeye.
I made the move. I stayed with family, and then I was like, oh my God, I can't stay with my family forever.
Yeah.
Where am I going to live? And then I got so lucky thanks to one of the absolute best realtors in all of Arizona, really.
Nice.
But yeah.
Sometimes you need that help, though.
Oh.
To find a house? I mean, out here it's great. I mean, I talked to my buddy the other day, and he goes, yeah, man, I can't even get any houses, like, at this point. A lot of my realtor friends are, like, reaching out to people, trying to talk them into to selling their house so they can have something to sell. But we'll stash the houses. I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit. So you had talked about the difficulties. What are the 3 best things you did when trying to build a business that you would tell other people to do?
The 3 best things in a nutshell, I mean, I don't know if I can just name just 3. I know the number one thing is providing solutions for small businesses. That was the absolute best. When I would go to a client and say, hey, you know, I have this opportunity for you, they would be like, well, you know, Nadia, I would love to do that, but we're a small business. We just don't make that. And so I would create incentives for the influencers and for the stores and just to see those small businesses make $100,000 more.
Yeah, because of this.
It was amazing. Some of them, you know, they were thinking about closing their store.
Yeah.
And so the marketing, the advertising, the pushing, the influencers, everything helped bring this business up. And so, I mean, definitely being able to, you know, see businesses grow.
Yeah.
And how it benefited the owners' lives.
And their family.
Yeah. I mean, you know, honest to God, the third thing is going to be the work that I was able to put in for nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
There is a nonprofit organization in California, and I've always worked with nonprofits. I just love it.
Nice.
And it's called Olive Crest. Okay. And what they do is they house homeless children and mothers.
Wow.
And so you know, they foster these children and they help them. And so one of the things that I was able to do is I was able to take my professional network and provide sponsorships for that nonprofit.
That's awesome.
And that really just seeing, I mean, that night, the night of the gala, when everything was all done and all the sponsors were in and then the community came together, they raised over $203,000 to help these kids.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's just when you're in business, it's crazy. It's an adventure. And
It
that's
really
what I
is.
love about it the most. One thing always leads to another. And that's what I try to tell people is that, you know, a lot of people doubt themselves. Oh, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this. I don't have that. And yes, you do need funding. Yes, you do need
A lot of things.
you need education, you need knowledge of it. But if you're somebody that has the funding, can get the funding, has the knowledge, and fear and doubt is the only thing that's
Stopping
holding
you?
you back, no.
Mm-mm.
Because you have no idea how much change you can make.
You can
for
impact, yeah.
Exactly. And so I always try to, I even remind myself, I'm doing this not to just be successful and to say I'm successful,
Yeah.
but the purpose behind it. You
Exactly.
know, what is driving me to do this? And there has to be some sort of feeling
Mm-hmm.
behind anything that you're passionate about.
You have to put your heart into it, because I feel like if you're not going to put your heart into it, you're not going to give it 100%. And people, especially on social media these days, are just trying to like, hey, I have the secret. I'm going to get you in there. My one master class for $350, I'm going to turn you into a billionaire.
Oh,
And it's like, wait, okay. So like, I'll do that now. I go on TikTok and I find side hustles. I find all these things, and I want to find out if they're real. Because all these ones are like, oh, you can make $2,200 a week just taking pictures or something like that. And you're like, all right, really? What is it? And so it's like, there's one where you can go to stores and go to the clearance rack now, and then you can resell it on Amazon for full price. That's a real thing, guys. But you do have to have a sponsorship to Amazon. You have to pay for a membership. You have to get a specific encoder thing. There's like so much to it. So you have to invest money in almost all of these things. And I know it's something we talked about earlier that it's crazy what these people are doing on social media, just trying to suck in some money right now.
Even crazier than that is the people who buy into it.
That do it, yeah.
It's a huge misconception. And if I had a huge megaphone and I could just shout to the world something, it would be stop buying these, you know, insta rich tutorials, these secrets on how to do business or sell or whatever it is. You see them all over Instagram, and it's like, okay, one person really is just so like anxious to want to be better at something, or or you know, wants to be in business so badly that they dropped that $350 when that $350 could go towards, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to start.
Something way better, yeah.
And in the end, you find out, like, I already knew this information.
Exactly.
Or I could have Googled this information and there's no refunds. You agreed to it.
You already paid it.
Exactly. And so, you know, an alternative to buying into those is to getting up, putting your shoes on, going outside, mingling with the world, understand the industry, maybe like buy a ticket or two to some conventions of the industry you're
100%.
interested in. Talk to the people at the booths, get as much information from those types of places that you can, because then you're learning these things firsthand.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bad. I know there are good like master classes.
There absolutely are.
There's some good stuff out there, but that's why I always fact check it, because like you said, it's so easy to Google things. Like we have so much access to knowledge right now that if someone says something and they're not going to give you like a little bit of info, it's probably full of shit. And that's why I try and debug them. There's actually a guy I follow on TikTok now. I can't think of his name, but he does that. He goes through and he debugs all these people and puts them on blast. And it's a bunch of different just scams.
Yeah, you're right. I should definitely say for sure, not every single one is a sham.
Yeah.
Not every single one. But the point here is to fact check first.
That's the point. 100%.
Look for the credibility. And, you know, while you're looking for that credibility and while you're buying, you know, master classes from credible individuals, still also put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You know, set a ultimate goal of what you want to do, but also set small goals that are going to get you to the next goal, because I think oftentimes people want to start a business and they're like, oh God, okay, this is too much.
The work hits.
It's overwhelming. But if you say, okay, I want an entire, I want all the way in between to Z.
To Z, yeah.
Right? Okay, well, you're not just going to go from A to Z. You have to go from A to B to C.
C, D,
and
yep,
all the way. And so if you set those small goals to get you to Z, it's a lot more fun.
It is. Oh my gosh, it is.
It's a lot more fun. You're able to be present in what it is you're building. You don't exhaust yourself. And then, you know, when you get to goal D, take a break before you get to the next
Celebrate.
goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, set realistic time frames for yourself. Like, it's going to take me probably, you know, 2 years to be to Z, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That is okay, but just make sure that you're financially prepared to wait 2 years.
Exactly.
Patience is key. Patience and perseverance is key in this.
And I always think, and I've heard from a lot of different people, that if you don't have a year's worth of money to get you through, you probably don't want to start something brand new, because you're not going to cut a profit, a solid one, for an entire year. And then that's when you're really putting in the work, and that's when you're really investing money. So you have to take that and put it into it, because if not, then you're going to fail even sooner. But if you don't have that buffer built in, that's another reason businesses fail. And there's no golden ticket. It's hard work. It's having a plan. It's, you know, I believe in spreading the plan around a little bit to close, like, mentors or friends, different things like that. So that way they're not like, okay, yeah, you're dumb. Like, come on. That way it's a good idea, you know, because you always think it's like a good idea at 10 o'clock at night when you're sitting there watching TV, and then you're like, oh, maybe this isn't as good when you're telling someone. So that's why I mentors would be probably my key, is knowing people that are in the business and that know how to make it work.
Absolutely. You know, my first mentor was 72 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he is a family friend.
Nice.
And mentors, I swear on everything.
Yeah.
That is 100% where I got all of my tips and tricks from.
Yep.
That, if there was a golden ticket, it would be, I have to say, a mentor.
Yep.
Sean Chester, who was my ultimate mentor.
Okay.
He has been everywhere in the world, just awesome friend. And he told me something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And that was that I'm a female and I'm emotional sometimes, you know.
Shit, we all are.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Yeah.
And he told me something that he was noticing is that I'm so passionate about everything I'm doing in business. I care about it. You know, it's like a little baby. And he told me, Nadia, you have to remember, do not ever mix emotions with business. You have to keep business and emotions separate. And when he said that, it was like a lightning bolt came out of my brain. Like, it sounds so easy and like, well, duh.
It's so not, though.
But, you know, I think I was 23, 22. Yeah, I was 23 at the time. And so as a 23-year-old, you know, like, hustling and bustling through these businesses, trying to, you know, make it happen. That was huge for me. And so, you know, everybody's different and everybody's mentor is going to be different, but you're absolutely right. I mean, in my experience, at least, a mentor has definitely been able to give me that, like, skip a few steps in knowledge from somebody who's known and, you know, somebody who, like, basically laid down the blueprint for Vegas. I mean, I lucked out getting a mentor like that.
Oh, yeah, you did? That's what, like, I reach out to people who I know and trust and who I know that are successful, because there's a lot of fakeness out there. And you've seen it. We've all seen it. Scottsdale's full of it, too, everybody. Just saying that there's a lot of fake money. Let's be honest. So I go to people that I know work hard.
Yes.
That I know sleep 4 hours a night, because that's how much they grind and they work. And that's why it all comes back to, you know, having that authenticity in everything that you do. Because if you do put emotion in it, which I believe that, you know, you got to keep it separate.
Yeah.
But you got to have a little bit in there because of that, because you care so much. Like, it's almost impossible to get rid of a little bit, to get rid of all the emotion. Like, for this podcast, it's obviously different than businesses, but, like, this is my baby.
Yeah.
And you have built businesses that were your baby. And so I firmly believe in that and having a little bit of emotional tag. But yeah, you got to keep it separate, and you got to make sure that you're authentic, because people see through bullshit like
100%.
like a clear window.
And I think what that means, like keeping the business and emotion separate, is when you're dealing with people.
That's 100%.
Yeah, I should have clarified that a little bit. When you're dealing with people, somebody's going to say, hey, Nadia, I want to give you $2,000 for this business that you just spent 4 years building.
Obviously, yeah.
Well, I can't have my businesses or my emotions throw me off of my businesses.
Yeah.
So, instead of taking that like a slap in the face, I'm going to keep my emotions separate in that situation.
Yes.
And, come back with the facts.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? $2,000 isn't going to cut it. This is what you're getting. And it's,
yeah.
we need to compromise here. And so that's helped me a lot in negotiating and dealing with people a lot, keeping that business and emotions separate. Otherwise, I would just get up from the table and just slam the door behind me. And you just can't do that in business. You really have to be, rational.
Yeah, you do. And that's the hardest part sometimes is when people do that to you. They don't fully see the worth, and you're like, who the hell are you?
Oh, they see the worth.
They just don't want to pay the worth.
They want to see what they can get away with.
Yeah.
And that's natural. I mean, you got to respect that a little bit. Like, oh, all right, I see you.
Yeah. If both of you come out feeling like you got screwed in a deal, it's a pretty good deal normally. Because no one's going to be happy. No, both sides are going to be happy normally.
Normally, yeah. Yeah. One side is always going to be like, you know what? Meh, but okay.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one's like, yes, here we go. Yeah.
Exactly. Usually I'm the one that's like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't want to make it seem like, it goes back to that misconception on, the internet that we always see. It has not always been very, very easy for me. It's not like I started these businesses and I was making money. I went through a 3-year period where it was hard. Wow. It was very hard. And then once one thing happened, then just everything just fell down on top of me. Yep. And it created a lot of fear and anxiety. And I had to come to a place where, wow, everything's dark around me. I'm either going to crawl out of this tunnel as a fighter, or I'm just going to lay down and just let these things happen to me. Yeah. And I ultimately decided, no. I am going to put one foot in front of the other because,
step by step.
It's not just me in this life.
Mm-hmm.
It's my kids too.
Yeah.
And so, we all go through those times where once we get that one little like seed or dose of doubt, then it's like an accumulation of doubt. And then we convince ourselves, okay, I can't do it.
I can't. And then you back out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of fear during that time. There's, a lot of anxiety, and it took me a lot to crawl out of that dark place. But
you did it.
You get out of it, and it's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other. And once my biggest thing is I don't want people to think that things are so easy. They really just are not. And you see all the time these beautiful women on Instagram, and I love them all. I love seeing their photos. But you have to always keep that. You have to be consciously aware in the back of your mind that that person has struggles too, and not feel so bad about yourself. And because I feel like that can, set people back into their seat, and then they don't want to do anything, or they forget why they started something. And so
well, that's one thing that, sorry to cut you off, that's one thing that I respected about you the most, was you've done it on your own with 3 daughters. Like that, I couldn't even imagine. I have 2 dogs, and like that shit's hard. I could never even imagine doing it with 3 daughters, and so that's tough. And so like when you told me that and I found out that, I was like, holy cow. All right, like that takes a different level of dedication and that different level of a switch, right? Because you can't bring the sadness and the depression or the hard times from work home with you. Like that's where you have to ground it outside the door. And that's 100%. What I'm trying to do. But to do that and then to go home and be mom, I commend you 100%. That's huge.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I mean, the biggest compliment I could ever get is that I'm a good mom.
Good mom.
That's the best.
Yeah.
But you know, it goes back to, I see through my kids' eyes.
Yeah.
And so I know whatever I'm doing, they're seeing. And so even during those hard times, they never really knew.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to have those memories.
Yeah.
You know, like I never wanted to see them having a hard time. You know, I saw my mom, she was on fire. She killed it. Like I said, she's the best.
Yeah.
But her properties were in Mississippi, and she lost everything in Hurricane Katrina because the insurance companies just said, no,
we can't do it.
We're out. We can't. And so I definitely was a huge part of seeing all of that demise, but I was also part of seeing her come back up. So I just didn't let my kids see the demise at all. And so there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always better days. I promise you that. No matter what it is, just even in your worst days, you have to be able to say, this really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But really, truly, I know it's a cliche, but tomorrow is another day.
It is another day.
And let's just see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah.
And if you consciously are aware that, like, take a mental note. Whoa, yesterday sucked so bad, but it's crazy how today is such a good day.
Yep.
If you take those mental notes, then you train your mind to understand that, okay, these little moments of crap are not going to last.
The overall goal. And a big thing is you're setting that example for your girls too. You're showing them, like, your mom didn't show it to you, but now you know, and you've put the pieces together. They're going to put the pieces together too. And they're going to be like, my mom killed it. She didn't let us struggle. And now that's going to set the tone for them. So that's changing the next generation. That's empowering women. That's doing so many different things. I mean, we had International Women's Day the other day.
Yay.
And you had talked a lot about that and how you're huge on trying to empower other women. Talk about that a little bit, because I know that was a huge thing close to your heart. Yeah,
it absolutely is. I really don't know where it came from. I kind of just felt like I was a water well, and I would oftentimes get a reaction from women when I would first meet them. And they would tell me their whole life story within minutes of meeting me. And to me, I wasn't
That's
like,
awesome.
Why are you telling me this? I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, what is it about me that makes all of these women tell me these things? And then it started to become a pattern of, I feel so much better when I'm around you, Nadia. I love being around you. You make me feel so much better. And I was like, wait a sec. This is something that I can bring to the world. Yeah. And so when I meet a woman, I just naturally see the best part of her. And so it's hard to explain, but, I definitely am confident in what I bring to women. Every woman that's been in my life that's needed something,
They know they can come to you.
I've always put them on, like, without a doubt. If I feel like somebody's good at something, or if I see somebody in need and I feel like they're a good person, I put them on.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt. And, sometimes they remember who put them on, and sometimes they don't. But I'm not looking for I did something for you.
The clout with
it. Not a bit. I'm not about that, so it doesn't bother me too much. When people forget who put them on, I just like to see
them
women
be successful,
doing well. And I think a lot of that might come from what I saw my mom go through, and I didn't see anybody there for her. I saw a lot of people there when she was doing great.
Yep.
And then when she wasn't, I was like, where did everybody go?
Mm-hmm.
And so, maybe that's why I do it. But
it's huge,
I have noticed that, oftentimes women won't even tell another woman where she got her cute shoes. And ladies, we need to stop doing that, because wherever you got those cute shoes, we need to know. And like, I'm seeing a lot of competition that I don't want to see anymore.
Yeah.
And if it was up to me, you know, Bill Gates said when he was starting out that, you know, he was broke. He didn't have anything. He was working his ass off.
Yeah.
And he would pick up the phone and call anybody, any man that he knew for advice.
Yep.
And whoever he was calling gave him more advice than he needed. Dropped whatever, hooked him up with whatever. And I want to see that more with women. I want to see, you know, I have a great group of women in my life, and we all are just putting each other on and motivate each other and are just super, super in sync. So, so I want to see more women doing stuff like that, because I feel like men have this like secret code of like, yo, it's bro code. Like, you have to, like, you know, if I ask you, you kind of have to do it. And I see it. Like, guys, you guys are like, have each other's back always. And women are a little more competitive. Like, women
are so competitive. Like, sorry, we're me and my girlfriend watching The Bachelor, and that shit is wild. And I know I can't relate every woman to that, but yeah. I've seen it before, you know, with different things with my girlfriend. It can be crazy. Guys are just like, sure, dude, like, yeah, I got you, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, there is times that I've had people keep shit from me and kind of just bury it down and not tell me something that could have bettered me. But more and more so now, because I kind of have a similar interaction with people. Like, people like to talk to me right off the bat, and I love that. It's such a great thing. That's why when you said that, I related with it. And it's crazy because I never thought I was going to be that person. I never didn't think it was going to be. Yeah, I was such an introvert for so long that I would talk to people, but I'd be so shy and scared. But now it's got to the point where if I have a question, I'm calling a buddy.
When did that change for you?
It's tough to tell, but the military definitely helped. But the military, you can't talk a lot. Like, I felt comfortable asking my friends, but I didn't feel comfortable asking like leaders or mentors. I think it was, honestly, once I moved back, I just kind of started to feel like, why am I going to not be who I am? Like, I felt like I wasn't who I fully was for the longest time because I couldn't be. So now I wanted to make sure that I was 100% myself. And then once I started dating my girlfriend, she's like the most extrovert person I've ever met in my entire life. Like, always go, go, go. Always, you don't even need to know their name, and she's having a full-on conversation. So
I love that.
When I met her and she kind of would take me to events, I would stand in the corner and kind of be quiet for a little bit. And then the second she'd introduce me, it was like floodgates. And so now she always tells her friends, like, whenever we go anywhere, they're like, oh yeah, he just does his own thing now, because me and my buddies go and do stuff and they do their own thing. But yeah, it was probably then. So like a couple of years ago was when I was actually able to like come out of my shell a little bit.
I love that. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay.
Yeah. So
are you happier now?
Oh, 100%. And
so this is truly who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why, with the authenticity, because I think it's so big, because once you're actually who you are, you have that mental peace.
100% a mental peace and happiness.
Yes. You don't feel like you have to hide who you are sometimes.
You're not scared. No. You don't have any anxiety. You just are like, this is who I am, and I'm cool with it. And then you go out into the world and you be you. And then you see people are like, actually love who you are.
Because who you were scared to show.
Because something at some point in our lives, something told us, you is not cool. You, maybe it was like a bully in middle school or whatever it was.
I was a chunky kid, so that's right there.
And so, you know, that stuck in our brains. And then something happened in our lives and we're like, wait a sec. Okay. I want to go be
who I am.
Exactly. And we realize this is way better. People accept this. I love this about myself. And it's a million times easier.
You don't have to hide stuff.
There's no pressure.
Yeah. I feel like when you aren't truly who you want to be and doing what you want to do, then you do hide things. And certain people can see it. Other people can't. But certain people will be like, "What? Who are you?"
Yeah.
Like, this isn't you, you know? But some people, when you change to be that person, to who you truly are, that's when I lost some friends. I mean, just not being so extroverted with them. So you know, I lost friends where they were like, dude, you're a little too much for me. You know,
Well,
you do too much on social. Okay, that's fine. I love you, and I'll still be a friend, and we can hang out whenever, and I'll tone it down a little bit. But man, it's fun, and you can see yourself grow. And I feel like those are the people that grow. Those are the people that aren't scared to talk to someone, who aren't scared to reach out. Yeah, to evolve. You know, growing up in the Midwest, and probably like you in Montana, like people don't leave.
They don't.
They're so content.
Every family member is still there.
Still there. Well, it cracks me up. I love my family to death. My family's a hardworking, blue-collar family, like just farmers galore. They've lived in the same town since the 1800s.
My gosh, that's a long
The
time.
1800s. Half the houses our family owned are tore down and rebuilt.
Isn't it so funny? There's always like one seed that's like gotta get away.
Yeah, and then it was I get it from my mom a lot too. Mom is like super outgoing, super bubbly, so it takes that, and I am a lot like my mom. People always joke we look alike, we act alike, so everyone's like, this is why you guys butt heads so much, because you are too similar. But
Yeah.
it took my mom like really wanting me to attack any dream that I had. I mean, my dad did too, but it really took my mom pushing me and like always never letting me settle to really bring me outside the shell, and then even more so when I got back. So
I love that. That's
Yeah.
good mom advice that I got from your mom through you.
there you go. Yeah, it's those types of things, and yeah, now you pass it on to your girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I have an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 2-year-old. They're at
Oh, wow.
such different stages. Like my 11-year-old is like becoming more mature.
Is that middle school?
Yes.
Oh,
And my 8-year-old is like, well, why doesn't my best friend want to play Barbies with me
Yep.
anymore? And then, you know, so I'm like, oh, my heart breaks for her. And then, you know, I have my 2-year-old who just gets so much attention and
baby.
could do no wrong.
no wrong.
And so, you know, as much as I have it figured out with my kids and how much of a bond I have with my kids, you're really learning every step of the way, especially with my 11-year-old. She's my first. So every year that she gets older, I learn something new.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, so this is what 11's like. And then I'm prepared for when my 8-year-old turns.
It's 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So with my 11-year-old, I'm like, you know, she has all these different things she wants to do when she grows up. And I mean, she's already had 2 businesses, guys. She has already had
11-year-old?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
She's on her 3rd right now.
What were they?
Well, this is kind of funny. She actually had a very successful lemonade stand
Solid.
in Montana when we went up there for the summer.
Solid.
I mean, people were coming to her lemonade stand from all over.
That's awesome. Yeah, because nothing's close.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to drive.
And she had a water bottle selling company.
Nice.
And then now she's working on selling bracelets, and she wants to pick a charity to donate the money to.
That's awesome.
So she's making these bracelets, and it's just so cool to see like the mindset there.
Already taken after mom. You don't even have to implement what you taught on her
Yeah,
later. It's already there.
Yeah, she's on it.
That's absolutely
So
awesome.
yeah, to hear that advice of like, you know, push,
Mhm.
like in a positive way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good for me.
Yeah,
Tell your mom I said thanks.
I will. She'll listen to it. I'm gonna get a text, I swear. But yeah, she's an amazing woman, and that's really who I surround myself with now. And I think if there's anything, and something maybe to wrap up this podcast with, is make sure you have people in your circle that are doing similar type things. Like when I reach out to these mentors, they're not just mentors. I always joke because I call one of my buddies a mentor, and he goes, "No, dude, we're friends." And I'm like, I know, but like, you know, you're my mentor. And he's like, no, like we're friends. And I'm like, all right, fine. Like, yeah, of course we're friends. Like
We're friend tour.
we're friend tour. Like we hang out, we go do stuff, we'll grab drinks, we'll chill, we'll kick it by the pool, work out, whatever. But like that's another key thing I would say too, like having a strong business is making sure you have close friends that are supportive of you.
Yeah, you know, my dad, he gave me great advice. And, you know, these little things just stick in my brain. He always told me, you know, you are who you hang out with, Nadia.
Yep.
Or he said, Cookie, you are who you hang out with. And if you hang out with 5 people who do bad things, you're going to be the 6th person who does bad things.
Yep.
Hang out with 5 people who do great things, you're going to be the 6th person who does really great things. And, you know, like my mom told me, she said, Nadia, you'll never be in business until you get in business. And what she was talking about is getting over that fear of not being able
Actually
to do it,
doing it,
and just going out and just doing it.
Yep, 100%. That's, I love that. I love that your mom was just so empowering to you. I love that you're passing that on to your girls. I love that during the day you're absolutely hustling. That's, like I said, I can't even imagine what that's like to try and grow businesses and then go home and be mom. So that's absolutely crazy. Anything you want to say before we get ready to head out of here? Any little last nuggets that you have for people?
You know, I could be here all day talking to you. This has been awesome. I love this. But you know what? I really just want to see people believing in themselves. I promise you, I will give you $100 if it doesn't work out. If you believe in what you are passionate about, and if you have this pit in your stomach that you feel like you could do something or make a difference, do it. If you believe, it will happen. It will come to fruition. Just believe, and follow that belief with action over and over and over again.
100%. That's I don't even need to say anything anymore. That's how we're going to end it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Nadia, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with me. I know you have some things in the works that we didn't talk about on purpose. So maybe we'll bring you back on. Maybe we'll get to talk about that because you're doing some cool things now. And it's only going to go up from here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, always let me know if you guys have someone that I need to interview. Send me a DM. Have them send me a DM. Let's talk. I want to help out as many small businesses as possible. I want to help out different people. So that way, it's not just me being successful or people close to me. It's the ones that really, really need it. The ones that have no idea how to go about doing it. So send them my way. Let's get them famous. Let's do it, guys. Let's help small businesses. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.